How's it going, everyone? Taki here. Today we're going to take a look at the brand new A1 from One Netbook. This is the second One Netbook device that I've featured on this channel so far, but it's the first one that isn't a gaming device. As you can see from the back ports, the A1 is primarily marketed towards engineers, but in this video I will see how it holds up as a general purpose UMPC with a variety of different applications that I use day to day. Along with this, I'll also test some of the games that I usually use to benchmark performance on other devices. Before we do that, let's quickly go over some of the specs of this device. The retail version of the A1 comes with an Intel M3 8100Y CPU, a UHD 615 GPU, 8GB of LPDDR3 RAM, 256GB of SSD storage, a 6000 mAh battery, and a 7-inch IPS display with a resolution of 1920 by 1200. The prototype in this video has a slightly different processor, but it's almost the same as the 8100Y. I'll put that info in the description box below. One of the unique aspects of the A1 is that it has this old swivel style screen that allows you to turn this into a tablet if you fold it in on itself. My prototype isn't as solid as I would like it to be, but it does get the job done, and I do like that you can rotate this screen backwards. As you can see from tapping on the screen, it does have a little wobble to it, but I've been told that this has already been fixed for the mass production version of the A1. Now let's take a look at the back. You've got an RS-232 port on the side, which is essentially meaningless for my purposes, but it is there for what it's worth. Near this is the heat exhaust, and I will say that this cooling solution does a good job of keeping the system under 70 Celsius even during demanding loads, as you'll see later in this video. To the right of this is the HDMI out port, two USB 3.0 ports, and the RJ45 port, which is one of my favorite parts of this device compared to the GX1. Over to the left side, we have a USB Type-C charging port and an SD card slot. There's also a lanyard hole over to the side of the device with an included strap, but I haven't bothered to install it. And finally, the right side holds our headphone jack. While we're here, we can see that this device is relatively thin, coming in at 20mm on the back end and around 18.5 for the screen portion. The screen on the A1 is the exact same one used in the GX1, and as I've already said, this thing is high quality. We do get some noticeable bezels on the perimeter of the case, but they aren't that drastic. I will just mention that the fan really does kick out heat pretty far, so I don't tend to use the device like this with the exhaust facing me, especially since I need to make use of those ports in the back of the device. As you can see, the A1 comes with VESA mount holes and 4 rather large rubber feet. This is also a perfect time to mention that this device is a huge fingerprint magnet, which is why I wish this metal shell came in gray or another color that would have masked them better. Now that we have the back plate off, we can take a look inside. I'm not a stranger to prototypes, and as you can see, this thing has all of the signs of being a prototype. As you can see around the CPU, it looks like somebody had a fight with thermal paste when they were assembling this unit. As to be expected with a device like this, you can't really do much in the way of upgrading the internals, so let's take a look at what you can do with what comes in the device. First, you get a fairly usable keyboard that's one of the best in this range for actually getting work done. I covered this exact keyboard in my GX1 review, and all of the same things apply to this A1 unit. The keys are nice with a decent amount of travel, and they're large enough that I can reach 90 words per minute comfortably without too many issues, so this is a serviceable option if you need to use this device to get real work done. One of the oddities about this system was the choice of using a red LED backlight for the keyboard instead of something standard like white. I don't know why they went with red, but I did get confirmation that the retail model will only include this red LED as an option. How does the A1 stack up to the other mini computers that I've covered so far? I currently have two that I use all the time, and I carry them every day with me inside this tiny bag. This bag can hold my WinMax and my GX1 with room for all of their chargers in the front pockets. When I need to go out on business trips or long car rides, I always bring the GX1 with me for mobile data since I have a data SIM in this that I pay about $5 a month for. If I need to go somewhere that has Wi-Fi, I'll typically swap over to the Max, especially if I need to be walking around because it's easier to get work done. After using both of them, I will say that I like the size of the A1 more than the GX1 because it's thinner. The GX1 has a larger lip on the front, but the A1 is almost completely uniform. I've been using the A1 for over a month now, and I've actually been running all three of these with two inside this bag and the A1 on the outside in a larger bag. The reason why I love these mini computers so much is that they're ultra portable. You can pop them in a bag and almost forget that they're there due to how light they are. Over the last month, I've been trying to do a variety of things on the A1 that I would typically do on the GX or the WinMax, and the A1 is definitely more of a general computer than anything else, especially if you can't make use of the 232 port. One of the advertised use cases for this device is to use it in tablet mode with your left hand on the side like I have it now. If you're reading a book or running some light software, this wouldn't actually be a bad use for this device, but if you're going to use this for something more intense that requires the fan, you're not going to want to keep your hand here near this exhaust area, so I don't tend to use it like this. Held like this, I find that this device is way more manageable, more so with the pen that came with my prototype. Surprisingly enough, the A1 handles Premiere Pro better than I would expect, and I could easily see myself working through some edits on this in tablet mode when on the go. It's not as good as the WinMax with analog mouse input, but it's a close second for usability in this highly specific use case. While we're on the topic of software, I will just quickly showcase a few benchmarks. Again, this is using a different processor than the one that ships with the device, but they are comparable, even though this one is slightly more powerful. This device obviously comes with the same processor that's in the GPT Win 2, so I was initially hesitant about spending any time doing gaming tests on this device, since I've already been down that road, but there is a crucial difference between both devices that is meaningful if you plan on using the A1 for gaming. The A1 uses single-channel memory, which in real-world tests means that you can get as high as half the gaming performance of the Win 2 with the exact same game. I was a little disappointed to discover that this is something that cannot be changed, because this is a really good deal at $600 with the quality of components used in this device if it could match the gaming performance on the Win 2. If it did come with dual channel memory, this would essentially be a poor man's GX1. Nevertheless, I did find that for emulation purposes, there's not a huge difference between both devices, if there is any at all. GameCube is going to run at native resolutions with some minor tweaks needed depending on the game, and PS2 is also going to run at native resolutions, but you may need to adjust the profile slider to 4 or 5 to get games to run at full speed. You'll also be able to run the majority of PSP games at 3x resolution. Likewise, Dreamcast isn't a problem using the Redream emulator. It's not until you get to 3DS and Wii U that the system starts to fall on its face. You can run some 3DS games, but you'll be limited to the less demanding ones. I was also surprised to see that Switch performance was significantly worse than it is on the Win 2, and this is the only emulator where I could see a difference between both devices. PC games are where you will notice the lack of dual channel RAM the most. I didn't in this video, but you'll have to make use of custom resolutions if you're going to have a shot at using this for real PC games at 60 FPS. DMC dips well below 60 FPS, even with very few enemies on screen, and Rocket League is well under the FPS that this SoC should have. But for less demanding and more casual games, this device is able to meet the challenge. I do want to quickly touch on battery life. This thing only has a 6,000 mAh battery, and I've been able to kill it in around 2 hours of actual gaming without issue. For standard PC usage, this is closer to the 5 to 6 hour mark. I also want to mention that the cooling system used in the A1 easily maintains sub 70 Celsius thermal readings based on all of the tests that I've done, but that's probably more due to the fact that this entire device is essentially one large heatsink, so you will feel that heat in your hand when you're using this device. Overall, I think the A1 is a fairly decent mini computer, and if it wasn't for that lack of dual channel RAM, this would have been a strong recommendation for me, even for normal users that won't use the RS-232 port, because it's a really good entry-level UMPC with a great screen and a really good keyboard. As it stands, the A1 is a niche product inside another niche, so if this is the right device for you, you probably already know one way or the other. If I end up getting the 8100Y version of the A1 in the future, I will revisit the performance sections of this video to see if there are any meaningful differences. This device is on pre-sale right now, and I'll put an affiliate link to where you can pick one up if you want to in the description box below. If there's anything else that you'd like to see tested on this device, or any other questions at all, you can feel free to leave those in the comment section below, and while you're there, consider leaving a like on the video and or subscribing to the channel to help support future reviews. I'll catch you here next time with another review. Happy gaming everyone. Taki out.